So today I am comparing Metro 2033 Redux on the Potato Masher and the PlayStation 4. If you don't know what the Potato Masher is, it's a PC custom built for $350 in December of 2014 and designed to compete against the PlayStation 4 for the rest of its life cycle. The point is not to show that the PS4 is superior or inferior in any way, it's to show that you can get a very good and comparable gaming experience on the PC for not a whole lot of money. If you want any more details about the build, links are in the description of the video, as well as a link to the full quality file download if you really want to pixel peep. Now, like I said, we're comparing Metro 2033 on the Potato Masher and the PC. Now, anytime you see any screen tearing or the frame rate above 60, that's because I turned off VSync so I could see how fast the game was actually capable of running on the hardware. And at times, on very high, the game alternated between 55 and 80 or 90 FPS, and then on high settings it could easily go well over 100 FPS, and it can lock at 60 all the time. The only downsides to running on very high instead of high were that occasionally the frame rate would dip down into the mid 50s, but honestly it's still very playable, and very high looks nice, so I'd probably still play with it on those settings. Now, to go more in depth, I've invited Dave, the Evil Viking 13, to talk to us because he is a 3D graphics artist, so he has some good insights. Alright Dave, what notes do you have for us about how Metro 2033 Redux looks?
Let's talk about the anti-aliasing first. The post-effect AA, I believe that's the FXAA, right?
It's not officially labeled as FXAA, it's just called anti-aliasing. Like, they don't really give you any options.
I think it's way too soft on PC, and I'm glad that you switched it off pretty quickly. As far as overall jagginess of edges, PS4 definitely comes out ahead on the jagginess meter. That's not a good thing, but it's really only noticeable in scenes with lots of hard edges, lots of light poles or telephone lines and stuff like that. Second note that I've got here is for the dynamic lighting. First off, all of the lights that are present on both systems, the PC renders that lighting distance a lot further, both in shadow and the light being cast, and PC actually has, I believe, additional lights, right?
Yeah, it looks like on most scenes, multiple light sources, the PC has more sources. So if like the Potato Masher, has 7 or 8 sources, the PS4 might only have 2 or 3.
Just a little bit more of a nice spread for the lighting. Nothing game-changing, but just nice to have if you can have it.
Yeah, it's a detail. It's not world-changing, but it's nice.
And this one, even as a 3D texture guy, I had to squint a bit to really notice, because both of these are being played at 1080p, correct?
Yes, 1080p, 60 FPS.
Okay, so the PC does have high resolution textures. However, it's really hard to tell in some cases at just 1080p. I think to appreciate the PC's advantage in the texture resolution department, you'd have to crank it up to 1440p or even 4K to really see that extra detail.
Yeah, and with the dynamic super resolution feature from NVIDIA, it actually wasn't too hard to do that. Like, I was able to get decent performance. So you have to lower your settings overall down to medium or so, but it looks great though. I mean, it definitely makes a difference in your textures and the models.
So some nice extra bonuses for PC, but honestly, this was a really hard comparison, even for me. I had to really study it, so props to this studio for really making a product that renders well on both systems.
All right, thanks, Dave. Now, if you notice, the frame rate counter got a lot smaller in the upper left-hand corner. This is running at 4K on low, and this is running at 4K on medium, and the game actually runs decently well. It doesn't run at 60 FPS, but you can run in the 30s. So if you want to game at 4K with this, you definitely can, and that's impressive for how cheap this build was, but honestly, it's probably worth just sticking to 1080p unless you really want to see some really nice looking textures. So now on to the optimized settings I would recommend you use at 1080p. If you can deal with occasional frame rate drops, I'd go with very high. It definitely looks a little bit better than high. But if you want that solid 60 experience the entire time, here the game is being played on high, and as you can see, it does look fantastic. You aren't really losing anything by going down to high. So yeah, this is pretty great. Now the game doesn't have a lot of in-depth options for you to pick, so you kind of just have to go with high, pick your anti-aliasing, pick your anti-stropic filtering, pick your VSync, and that's about it. So I would turn your anti-aliasing all the way off because it's garbage. And as you can see in this clip that is actually running at 1080p with max anti-aliasing, the anti-aliasing doesn't even look that great. And anti-aliasing destroys the frame rate, but you're much better off using dynamic super resolution or AMD's virtual super resolution and just leaving anti-aliasing all the way off. So there you have it. Aside from a couple little issues with anti-aliasing optimizations, this is a good looking and great running game. You should be able to run it on a variety of hardware, and the Potato Masher definitely delivers an equivalent or better experience than the PlayStation 4. Again, for any further details about the Potato Masher build or any questions about it, just check out the description of this video and it will have a link. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more game comparisons and have a great day.